Welcome back to my channel. It has been a hot minute since I last uploaded a video. I mentioned in a previous video I moved in December, and then we had the holidays and things just got really busy, and now I'm finally back in my groove. I also was in a 2-month book slump, so I wasn't really motivated to talk about books because I literally couldn't bring myself to read anything. I did decide to do this fun little video. I really enjoy the whole tier ranking concept because it just gives you a better idea of how people feel about a book sometimes, because star ratings are very subjective. So I really wanted to do a tier ranking video for all of the books that I read in the month of, or not in the month, all of the books I read in 2023. So we're gonna do that today. I have 6 categories on here. First one's first, inject this into my veins. I think a lot of people have said this about their top books, but these are just like 6-star reads, books that I will take with me to the grave basically. Then my next one, I got this from another booktuber, and this is Crack. These are the books that to me are not like my 6-star reads, but I still think about them a lot. These can be 4.5 or even 5-star reads. They're so good and I couldn't put them down, so they had to be labeled as Crack. And coming right out of inject this into my veins, it's making me sound like really into drugs. Third one I have is enjoyed and I'd recommend. So these can be books that are also in like the 3-star range, because with 3 stars for me, sometimes I really like a 3-star and maybe they could have been 4. Then I have Not the Worst. I had to add this one in because there are 3-star books that to me I wouldn't necessarily recommend. I can see why people might like them and it's not like the worst thing in the world, but just wasn't for me. Next one is Could Have Done Without. Self-explanatory. I literally could have gone the entire year without reading this book. And the last one is Immediately No, which is just straight up absolutely not. Straight up, I don't like this book. Let's get right into it. First things first, we have Evidence of the Affair by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is just like a short story type of book. I think it was like under 200 pages. I liked this book and I'm gonna say enjoyed and I'd recommend. I liked it for what it was. Next we have Heartless by Elsie Silver, which I actually didn't realize that this was read so early on in the year. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to reread it because when I read it, it was like a different time. So I'm going to say Not the Worst because I didn't thoroughly enjoy it. And I do believe that sometimes it can be right book, wrong time. Because I enjoyed 2 out of 4 of the books in this series that I've read so far. We have People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. This one's a little hard for me because a lot of people don't like it and I don't remember not liking it. I did originally rate this book 4 stars. I don't know if I would do that now. I'm gonna put it at Not the Worst because yeah. A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole, I'm immediately putting it at Immediately No. So I actually DNF'd this book at 60% and that's why I'm counting it. I know some people say it doesn't count. I ended up just reading spoilers online. One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I'm gonna say enjoyed and I'd recommend. I feel like Taylor Jenkins Reid is really good at putting out like literary fiction type of books more than her romances. I liked the overall meaning to this story and it was cute and sad at the same time. Now we have Book Lovers by Emily Henry, and originally I rated this book lower than I rated People We Meet on Vacation. However, looking back, I might rate them pretty much the same. Like, I don't know where I want to put it. I think I'm going to put it at enjoyed, I'd recommend, because it is about 2 people who work in the book world. So I did enjoy that aspect. It has a small town romance thing going on. Overall, I'd say I enjoyed and I recommend. Now we have The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I'm gonna say I enjoyed and I'd recommend. A Long Time Coming by Megan Quinn. This is part of, I don't remember the name of the series, but there's 3 books and each one is about a brother, and it is a billionaire romance as well. Friends to lovers, and I think the girl is also like engaged to be married. If you like romance and you like billionaire romances, I'd recommend this book. I enjoyed it and honestly it was better than the one that came before this one. Then I have I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. So this is a nonfiction, it's a memoir. I'm gonna put it in enjoyed, I'd recommend, because it is a memoir. I don't feel like I could put it anywhere else because I did enjoy it and it was very emotional. All right, I have the Twisted series. So I read it all in order, started with Twisted Love, and yeah, so Twisted Love, I'm gonna say I want to put it in immediately. No, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of want to put it there because I didn't think that book was very good. I originally rated it a 2-star, but I think I might even go down to a 1. I don't like the main male character in this book. He is unhinged. He's a little too much. I'm just gonna put it immediately no. Looking back, I don't remember one thing that I liked about it other than the fact that it was a quick read and it was easy. It was on Kindle Unlimited. That's all I can say about this book. However, I kept hearing that it gets better as you go through it, so I read Twisted Games and I liked that one. It is a princess bodyguard trope. I really liked it, but I will say Anna Huang, she writes like spicy books for me. That's her style. Not really mine. I still enjoy the overall story anyways. Twisted Hate, I'm gonna say it wasn't really that great for me. Like, it's just not my cup of tea, this series in general. I'm gonna put it in could have gone without. Female main character, I really liked her. She's the only reason I rated this book 3 stars. Then we have Twisted Lies. So I actually rated this one pretty highly. Like, I think I rated it a 4 when I first finished reading it. But looking back, like, yeah, I don't know, man. But I know a lot of people love her books. But for me, not. I didn't really like this series, to be specific. All right, now we have Malibu Rising. I actually liked reading Malibu Rising, but I also understand why a lot of people don't like it. I think it just gave off like a movie vibe. You get so many point of views in like the second half of the book that you start to wonder, like, what does this have to do with the story? And it really doesn't have anything to do with the story. It's more of like all vibes, hardly a plot. Then I went like on a Taylor Jenkins Reid little binge, I guess you can say, and I read After I Do. I'm gonna say I could have done without reading it. Reading about 2 people who are married and they decide to take a year apart, I wouldn't personally do that, but reading about it was really interesting. However, it's not a book like I'd recommend, and it just, honestly, because I know what I like now, it feels like it was a waste of time. Then I also read Maybe in Another Life. I did enjoy it a little bit, reading like 2 different lives, like if she went this way with something or if she went this way with something. So you know what, I'm gonna put it in not the worst because it was really interesting, but it wasn't like that great. Okay, Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I need to reread this book. I'm gonna put it in crack because I remember loving it. I believe I gave this 5 stars originally, and I'd love to see if I would still rate it 5 stars if I was to reread it. So I'm gonna put it in crack. Then I have Christina Lauren, The Soulmate Equation. I think the concept of it was really cool. You know, a man creates like this app that's all about soulmates through your DNA to match people. So I thought the concept was cool, but I'm gonna say it wasn't really that good. Like, looking back, I'm gonna say I could have gone without reading that one. Part of me wants to put it in not the worst, but then I look at what else is there and I'm like, I don't know. Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. I was not impressed with the way this book ended, and I was really irritated by the main male character. I can see why some people like this, but I am going to say I could have gone without reading this because it pissed me off so much. Meghan Quinn, The Wedding Game. I remember I was like, I just want something cute and fun, and it was cute and fun. It's not the worst. Not the worst. Carrie Soto is back. Taylor Jenkins Reid. Crack. That is one of my favorite Taylor Jenkins Reid books that I've read. Like I said, she is really good at writing literary fiction and just focusing on developing a character and a character story. I don't think she's a contemporary romance type of writer, but her literary fiction books are really good. The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This is another one where I enjoyed reading it, but then around like the 70% mark, I'm like, really? Like, I don't know. I really did like it at the beginning, and then it just kind of went completely downhill. I'm gonna put I could have gone without reading it. Like, yeah. We have Lucy Foley, The Paris Apartment. I'm gonna put it in not the worst. I feel like I'm harshly rating right now, but also a lot of it has to do with my taste today. It wasn't too bad. Around the end I started to like really enjoy it, but it wasn't the worst. Better Than the Movies. I'm gonna put this at not the worst. This is Lynn Painter's YA. I think this is like her most popular book. A lot of people love this book, but I don't know if I'm really that into YA romance. I think if I read this when I was like in high school or even middle school, I would have enjoyed it a lot. I wouldn't go around like suggesting it to people unless someone says that's what they like. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I'm gonna put this in enjoyed and I'd recommend. When I finished this book, I felt like I didn't really like it. It was a great full circle story. I wish I could read that now because back then I don't think it was really a book for me. But I think if I read it now, I'd appreciate it a little bit differently. It was a long book. Like, it was painfully long, I'm not gonna lie. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Again, I have mentioned this in my 5-star video, but I'm gonna go with the minority here. Once again, I'm putting it in crack because I just absolutely love that book so much. It's not for everyone. It's a very slow, historical fantasy read. All right, Mr. Wrong Number, Lynn Painter. Could have gone without. I didn't really enjoy this one personally. That's my second Lynn Painter book and I still want to give her another chance. But like that one, I literally could have gone without reading it. Magnolia Parks, we already know what I'm doing. Inject This Into My Veins. This was the first book of the year that changed the game for me. Jessa Hastings changed my life when it comes to reading as soon as I read that book. Daisy Hates, I'm gonna say I enjoyed and I'd recommend. It wasn't like crack for me or anything. It was a good book, but I did have a bit of a hard time reading it. And it's the only book in the series I rated 4 stars. And the other ones I rated 5. So you already know what I'm doing with the next two. With Magnolia Parks 2. That is going into Inject This Into My Veins. And same with Daisy Hates 2. Because, oh my gosh. I can't talk about it or else I'll sit here forever talking about it. Okay, The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett. I actually forgot that I read this book. Based off my expectations, I felt like the book had a lot more potential. A lot of people love this book. I'm gonna put it in not the worst. Because I don't want to say I could have gone without reading it. There were times where I enjoyed it. But I don't know. Something was missing for me in this book. Then I read Crazy Love by Frances Chan. This is actually a Christian book. I'm just gonna put it in enjoyed and I recommend because there were a lot of messages I loved in that book. The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I'm gonna put this in not the worst as well. It's funny because one of my friends was reading this and she just like could not get into it. I think she just stopped reading it. It's very slow in the beginning and then it just kind of picks up a little bit. Before We Were Strangers, Renee Carlino. Crack. I love that book so much. Happy Place by Emily Henry. So this is a book that I want to reread as like my 5-star rereads because I want to know if I feel the same way. I'm gonna put it in the crack one, but let me just tell you, there has to be a vlog this year of me rereading my 5-star reads because I don't know if I would still feel the same way about this book if I reread it. Caraval, Stephanie Garber. I'm putting it in crack. I never expected to put it there, but the whole series, I just really loved it. Although I haven't finished the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, I still have one more book left to read in that one. So far, there's something about Caraval that I just liked better. Unpopular opinion. Beach Read by Emily Henry. I'm just gonna put it in enjoyed and I'd recommend. I don't think it was like the best book ever. I think this is so many people's favorite book. Maybe I would reread it and change my mind. A Court of Thorns and Roses. Yeah, Inject This Into My Veins. A lot of people wouldn't agree with me for the first book, but I loved the first book. There was not 1 second in the first book where I was bored, whereas majority of people say they were bored. It was like the catalyst to my fantasy era. Like this book really truly started my fantasy era and I couldn't look back after that. So I did take a break because I went on a little road trip and I read the fine print. I could have gone without reading it. Literally the only reason I read it was to get to the other 2 books in the trilogy. This is the Dreamland Billionaires trilogy. Did not like the first one. Looking at it, I'm like, should I put it in immediately? No, because I didn't really like it at all. Yeah, we're gonna put it in immediately no, because there's other books in that category, could have gone without, that I definitely liked better. A Court of Mist and Fury, again, Inject This Into My Veins. because that was a perfect book. Like, it was actually perfect. And A Court of Wings and Ruin, absolutely love this one, but I'm gonna put this one in crack. It was still so good, and it was a 5-star for me. When in Rome could have gone without. I'm just starting to realize, like, contemporary romances, some of them are just the exact same as the other one, and that's how that one felt. When I read it, it was like, oh my god, this is so cute. Ironically, I rated this 4 stars, but looking back, no. Next, I read Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher, the second book in the Dreamland Billionaires. I'm gonna put it in enjoyed and I'd recommend. I think it was, for a billionaire romance, it was pretty fun, and it was a marriage of convenience, which for romances, marriage of convenience just does it for me. A Court of Frost and Starlight, I don't care what anyone says. This is like the lowest rated book in the ACOTAR series, but it's cracked for me because I love the characters so much that I appreciated that novella so much. And I don't care if nothing was happening. That's literally the point of it being a novella and just like a book for readers that love the series. And I think it was such a great bridge between A Court of Wings and Ruin and A Court of Silver Flames. Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute. You know, honestly, again, I'm starting to realize YA romance is just not really my vibe. I'm just gonna put it in not the worst, because, like, would I recommend it? Only if you like YA romance. Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. Okay, I'm gonna just put it in crack because I really do plan on rereading that book. I loved it so much. Legendary, crack as well, because that book was just so good. And that's when you get introduced to Jax, who is the main male character in Once Upon a Broken Heart. So if you are interested in reading Once Upon a Broken Heart, I highly suggest reading Caraval first. And I like the idea of getting a background story on the character first. If you're someone who read Assassin's Blade first and you liked that, read Caraval first. Finale, I'm gonna put this in enjoyed and I recommend. It wasn't really the greatest for the final book in a trilogy, but you know, it was good. Court of Silver Flames, I'm gonna put this in crack. It was done so well and the character development was perfect. Before I Let Go by Kennedy Bryan, I'm just gonna say enjoy and I'd recommend. Well, I actually just recommended it to someone today based off their taste. It didn't hit for me the way I expected it to. Maybe my expectations were very high, but I still would recommend this book and I enjoyed it. Once Upon a Broken Heart, I don't know, like, I personally didn't like this book as much as everyone else did. I'm gonna put it in enjoyed and I'd recommend because of the overall series. Like, everything that happened in this first one was explained in the second one, so I'm gonna put it there. But at the same time, I'm gonna tell you, me personally, it didn't hit for me like it hit for everyone else. Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, this is part of the same world as Part of Your World. I didn't enjoy this one as much as Part of Your World, but I'm gonna say I would recommend it. Fourth Wing, I am going to put this in Inject This in My Veins because that was a top book for me for the year. I absolutely love that book so much. I don't want to talk about it too much, but I remember thinking about that book for like a good month straight. Final Offer by Lauren Asher. This is the final book in the Dreamland Billionaires series. I'm gonna put this in enjoyed and I'd recommend. I did like this one. I think I might have liked it the most out of all of them, or at least I liked the main male character the most out of all of them. And I really want to read Lauren Asher's newest book, which is, I think, in the same world as Dreamland Billionaires. Divine Rivals. Okay, I really did like this book. I did originally rate it a 5-star when I first came out of it, and I changed it to a 4. I want to put it in crack because of how beautiful it was, and I do think it was better than a lot of books that I put in the enjoyed and I recommend. So I'm gonna put it in crack because it was just so beautifully done. I still haven't read the second book that came out at the end of December, but I do plan on doing that. The House of Eve by Sadiqa Johnson. I'm putting this in crack. If you want to read this book, highly recommend looking up trigger warnings. And the same goes for the next one, 7 Days in June. Definitely there needs to be some sort of warning when people talk about it. I think I enjoyed like the first 50 to 70% of the book, and then something just changed. But I would still recommend it, but I would recommend it while also warning people, because I just feel like I wasn't prepared for how the book was gonna be. The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. I'm putting this in crack because that one was really good in comparison to the first book. I rated this 5 stars, but honestly, maybe I would do more like a 4.5. It was so good. It left you on a bit of a cliffhanger. Then I have Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I'll put it in enjoyed and I recommend. I think this is good for people who like contemporary romance and you like, oh, and you don't like miscommunication, you don't like third act conflicts, because this book doesn't have any of that. These two characters have the most amazing communication I've ever read. I know a lot of people don't like the whole pregnancy trope, but if you can look past it, you might actually like it. Next, The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J Maas. This is the prequel in the Throne of Glass series. I'm gonna put this one in crack because for me, it was perfect. Throne of Glass, this is the first book in the series. I'm gonna say enjoyed and I recommend. It was my least favorite so far from all the books I've read. It was my least favorite. To me, it made sense that this one wasn't as exciting because I think it was just kind of building the story, but it was still really good. Flawless by Elsie Silver. This is the first book in the Chestnut Spring series. I gave this a 4 star. I actually did enjoy it and I recommend if you're interested in reading cowboy romance. Then I highly suggest it. I liked it and I was surprised that I liked it. Crown of Midnight, again crack, because that one was just insane. It was so good. I not even finished the Throne of Glass series and I want to reread some of these books. So then we have Heir of Fire, the next one, crack as well. Absolutely crack. Then we have Queen of Shadows, which this one so far has been my favorite. It just needs to be in the crack situation going on. It was so good. Mickey Chambers Shakes It Up. It was good. It was alright. I did enjoy it sometimes. I'm putting that one in not the worst. Then we have Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I'm gonna put this in enjoyed and I'd recommend. However, I feel like I really need to say this. I rated it a 4.25. I think I would bump it down a little bit only because as time went, I was able to process my thoughts a lot more. And the thing about the book, it's a debut novel. It's the first book in, I don't know if it's a trilogy. It threw me off a little bit how much it was like The Hunger Games, which is okay because I think a lot of books do have the similar like trial aspect, which I do really like. But there were certain elements to the trials that were very similar and it was very tropey, but I'm excited to see what she does with the next one and if it feels a little bit different, if it feels more unique. Forget Me Not by Julie Soto. Honestly, I think I would rate this a lot lower than I did. I'm gonna put it in could have gone without reading it. The two main characters literally don't talk majority of the book, so Then we have Powerless by Elsie Silver. I'm putting this in not the worst. It didn't hit for me, so it's not the worst, but yeah. Iron Flame, okay, I'm putting this one in enjoyed and I'd recommend. It didn't hit like Fourth Wing, but it still had a lot to the story that I feel like was really important. And it was a really long book because of the amount of words in it, not just like how many pages there are. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't Fourth Wing, I'll tell you that. Mile High, oh my god, crack, because I did not expect to like this book at all. I talk about it in my last wrap up and I want to reread it again. I gave it a 4.5. I loved it. I loved the two main characters. Their banter was amazing, their chemistry, everything. The Right Move, on the other hand, I'm gonna say enjoyed and I recommend, but I will say it wasn't like the most amazing thing, but a lot of people love this one. Now we have the two books I read in December. Actually, no, that's a lie because I did actually read The Inheritance Games and I DNF'd it at like 140 pages. The Inmate by Frida McFadden. I'm gonna put it in not the worst. I do still have questions that I'm like, certain things don't add up. Then I have Never by Jessa Hastings, and I know my opinion is very, very uncommon, but I loved this book. I felt like it really honored the real Peter Pan story, which is not the Disney one. It definitely was a slower read, and for some people they say it's very much all vibes, no plot, but there is a plot that's developing. I want to put it at crack, but it very much has the potential to go into inject this into my veins. Jessa Hastings has the most amazing writing. I had a dream of me defending this book at a bookstore, telling people to read it. I was really glad to end off the year on a really good note. and also to finally be out of my reading slump. So those are all the books that I read in 2023. Let me know your thoughts on any of these books if you've read them. Let me know if any of them are on your TBR. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please do not forget to give it a like. If you are not subscribed, don't forget to subscribe. I will see you in the next video.